A once serene and peaceful homestead, now reduced to a dreadful, dystopian hellscape. Mayor Dylan Rash took mayoral office in 2026, forever changing the fate and future of the township of New Albany, Indiana. The sprawling city of Rashtopia has now annexed all of the continental United States, spanning corner to corner. Megastructures and section-off sectors dot the landscape of this eternal city, inhabited by the overworked and deprived citizens that are now under the rule of the Rash. The pollution and smog create a perpetual acidic rain, damaging to the skin and other wildlife, making transportation and life especially difficult on foot within these hazardous conditions. The city has underground rail stations that were installed soon after his take to office in the mid-2020s. Initially, they were advertised as being used to transport large quantities of WWE action figures. They reach through and beyond the city as the means of moving cargo, people, and even the captured opposers of the Rash, who were sent off to be tortured by horrific means or brainwashed to be mindless husks used for upholding the infrastructure of the city. Eventually, the people of Rashtopia gave him the name Admin. The people of the city live, if you can even call it living, just barely alive, underfed, overworked, and nearly suffocating from the toxic air, all thanks to the oppressive Rash administration. Most civilians are sent to factory work in the Sector C industrial district, which is infested with disease, sickness, and air so thick it feels like razors scratching your lungs. Here, there is hard labor and even harder hours. The factory hubs here mainly produce the city's ration provisions, which consists of mayonnaise, bratwursts, and Rash's favorite, frozen yogurt, which is only handed out very sparingly to those who work and legally have housing in the city. There are those who defy the rule of the admin and his government. Few would dare, as the consequences are far too dire to imagine. The Defiers, as they are called, a term coined by the Rash during one of his re-inauguration speeches, which of course he won by 100% of the vote. This moniker was given to the small group of citizens who have attempted to stand up for their rights, but are always swiftly met with quick demise. When Defiers are caught by the street patrol, they are either sent to work in the WWE action figure production plant in subsector R, or are sent to a fate worse than death, the party chair. And believe me, it's anything but a fucking party. The party chair is among one of the many disgusting and horrid forms of torture imagined by the Rash and his equally terrible henchmen, who have the curious name of FSS, the Fuck Shit Squadron. These torture devices are used either for extracting information from Defiers or simply for the Rash's own sardonic viewing pleasure. The party chair, only heard about through back alley whispers, is a machine crudely constructed from an old office chair, where a hatch is in the middle of the seat, and inside is a spring-loaded fat-ass dildo with razor wire wrapped around it. The unfortunate victim is to sit on this chair. You can use your imagination to figure out what happens next. After the victim has painfully passed away, a disco ball is said to come out of the top of the chair, and the song I'm American by Queensryche begins playing. And there's confetti poppers and shit. After the first falling out with the populace in the mid-2030s, the Rash decided to put together a private military for his own protection and the enforcement of the rules of the city. A wise choice indeed. These elite soldiers were tested in the fire of war far before his initial inauguration. The FSS consists of high-ranking military officials and even simple street thugs and gang members, the hardest people he could find to defend his honor. The FSS is the most feared name and presence among the streets of the city. They are all surgically fitted with physical and brain-enhancing technologies, that of which are otherworldly, making them practically invincible and superhuman. Word among the defiers and abiding citizens is to find a way to kill yourself if you're ever captured by one of these ominous agents. What they will do to you is much worse than death itself, and your only hope is that you die quickly. During his first few years as the mayor of New Albany, the people were hopeful, as he would hold positive and uplifting rallies, even supporting nearby small businesses, and paid his dues. All of this eventually fell apart and his true nature was unveiled. His initial move was that of destroying all low-income housing and replacing it with rocks. The people were unsure. The civilians trusted him, and at this time couldn't imagine him doing any evil. As years went on, things became more desolate and drab. He eventually leveled all factories and stores, replacing them with Sweet Frog, his favorite frozen yogurt dispensary. 10 years into his rule, the people were feeling the pain and sorrow, truly regretting ever supporting this monster years ago. Rash surrounded himself with many people whom he could trust. He carefully and painstakingly, through trial and error, forged a powerful pull of people to shield him. He initially showered his entourage with anything they could desire: money, food, housing, NASCAR, Hot Wheels, even women. Though as time passed, eventually they became almost brainwashed and highly susceptible to suggestion. They didn't know that Rash, years before, conceived a device that would hijack the brains of whomever he saw fit by means of fart compilation videos. And eventually, with the absence of free will, they were now slaves to him. However, decades ago, there were mysteries and rumors abound that he had underage children on leashes in his private quarters. The people couldn't believe it. But in the cold era of the late 2020s, the Rash would walk among the rubble-filled streets with his enslaved children on leashes, walking them like they were pets. This was one of many reasons the people began to become beyond horrified with him. They soon realized that he wasn't simply a misunderstood bastion of hope for the city. He was a sadistic and psychopathic, horrible human being. The city is laid out in sectors. They range from Sector A all the way to Z and so on. They're also followed by a number, so there can be a Sector B4 and all the numerical possibilities. In fact, no one truly knows how many sectors there are to the city, as it stretches far beyond the horizon in all directions. There's Sector A and its subsectors, which is a housing district. Most of the mayonnaise factory workers live here. It's a crudely constructed and dilapidated area, with houses stacked and built into each other for miles. Everything goes up vertically, too. There are known to be mile-high Sweet Frog frozen yogurt dispensaries here, but they are reserved for government workers. The streets are riddled with trash and crime, truly one of the most unsafe areas in the city. Sector A is where the bratwurst factories reside, 15-mile wide and 1-mile tall foundries populated by tens of thousands of workers. And at the end of the day, the bratwursts are boiled in a pot of fucking shit. Then they're distributed out through the government-mandated provisional rations, GMPRs. The workers here are kept enslaved by strapping pistons to their fucking cock and balls, pumping their dicks all fucking day, slowly siphoning their fucking cum, which is used as the primary source of fuel to power the factories. The workers are given a modified version of meth to keep them awake from the fucking crazy ass orgasms they be having and shit. Oh, fuck, count me in. Sector C is where the badass fart machines are kept. The workers here are pushed especially hard as they keep the engines operational. These machines produce stanky ass farts all fucking day, 24/7, like goddamn. They're powered by the collected fucking shit of the civilians. They produce more than 85% of the visible pollution that darkens the sky. They are so potent and powerful, and the smog has become so great that whether or not it is day or night, you cannot tell, as the sky is so blackened by the stanky ass fucking farts and fucking mayonnaise ass bullshit. These sectors go on for eternity. The citizens are able to purchase food rations, often stylized as rations, like the name fucking Rash, or even means of entertainment can be purchased using diapers or fucking shitty ass underwear. Since the nation's currency production plants and the U.S. Mint was closed down 1 month into his mayorship, the only remaining possible form of currency is diapers and fucking shitty ass fucking underwear. But the most crucial of them all, the city center, the citadel of all operations. Situated here is a fuck ton of sweet frogs, NASCAR tracks, mayo dispensaries, and littered Jack's bars. Only the wealthiest and most trusted patrons of the city live here. They're all personally affiliated with Dylan in some way or another. Here the architecture is much more clean, sharp, and intentional. Glistening white towers and structures, swooping arcs of crystalline steel and glass. One building even looked like a giant cack. Yay! To most of the city's dwellers, this is paradise. The Rash's Tower, also called the Giggle Hut, is placed snugly in the middle of it all, and is situated with high-tech cameras and immensely powerful spotlights, ominously illuminating and surveilling the darkened cityscape below. His tower, now a Jack's bar made 11 miles tall, overlooks all of what used to be New Albany's city center and sectors, respectively. The weekly mandated NASCAR races are held here. All citizens must attend. The unruly are pitted against the Rash himself and his cronies. Those who win are rewarded with a big-ass bag of shit, and those who lose are sentenced to the underground dungeons of Sector K. WWE wrestling matches, among other activities, are hosted here, including curry blowouts and edging competitions. The Rash work tooth and nail to completely squeeze every last drop of hope, shit, cum, and fucking peanut butter from the citizens. Throughout the years, other world leaders have attempted to dismantle him from his throne, but all have failed, miserably. The question is, how many fingers can you fit in your fucking ass? Legend has it, in the early 2030s, when the Council of Ferildoville, the last standing outpost, now a 1-mile wide crater in the desert of Utah, tried overthrowing the Rash in his administration. They were captured amidst battle and sentenced to the bratwurst boiling fucking shit machine, where a tennis ball thrower was reconfigured, and instead of tennis balls being launched, the bratwurst from the factories are boiled in fucking steaming hot ass shit and launched at a nigga's asshole. In this instance, it was the governor of Ferildoville, Vince Vega, and his assistant, Matty Cream III. This is when the nascent Rashtopia came to be. The Rash never shows mercy. The Rash is all-powerful. He cannot be stopped. God save our souls. New Albany must be saved. Beans! During the epicenter of Rash's rule, one problem became abundantly clear. There simply was not enough resources, room, or energy to continue powering and feeding the sprawl. He and his people drew a few conclusions, one being to level all of Sector S and the bratwurst boiled shit factories, thereby putting millions out of work. Another grandiose idea was to simply terminate all residents through controlled neurotoxins released into the air, created from collections of cigarillos and fucking Zen nicotine patches. At this time, the dystopia is deep into its temporal era, around the mid-2060s, a time when exploring into different dimensions was becoming feasible through Rash's connections and subsequent discoveries in the theoretical science field, including but not limited to Hot Pocket fleshlight, baby's first dick pump, and portable piss cup. He had a superb group of physicists, doctors, and engineers, all of whom attended prestigious schools such as Rashiversity and the WWE Educational Institution, all working by the skin of their teeth to find ways to expedite the deeply apparent energy crisis. His propaganda team would swear up and down to citizens to have no worry, and that, in fact, there would be an exponential increase in bratwursts and Chromebooks. But this is far from the truth. Amidst the inner turmoil brewing within, the citizens felt no more hopeful, and their situation even more stark. The Sector A housing district was completely filled to the brim with citizens, to the point that the houses themselves were collapsing under the weight of fucking dumbass niggas, and people were dying from the food rations being at an almost complete halt. MF's one of they steamy ass bratwursts and fucking mayo ass bullshit, but it seemed a time was never to come when they would have their prayers answered. An overabundance of John Cena action figures were being mass-produced in Subsector R, and it was one of many proponents causing this loss in space and the walls literally closing in around the residents. There were housing blocks that were completely boxed in on all sides by 500-meter high piles of Rey Mysterio action figures and Hot Wheels. The factories were overpouring their production into the housing sectors. This was one of many atrocities that would soon come. In Subsector F resides the Chromebook Mausoleum, also dubbed the Electric Fields. It is a massive industrial tomb, thousands of meters underground, riddled with large transistors and transformers in all directions. The climate here is questionable at best in its safety, as temperature sporadically fluctuates between negative 273 degrees Celsius, absolute zero, and 400 degrees Celsius. Electricity and arcs of lightning radiate throughout the fields of steel and plasma. This is where the Rash's discarded and broken Chromebooks reside. Factory areas spanning hundreds of miles were home to the millions of Chromebooks he went through over the span of his reign. Rash had his team of appointed city engineers create automated warehouse bots that would collect the components from the destroyed Chromebooks and extract worthy data from them. He used bots as he did not trust people to go near them. He was afraid one might recover a functioning hard drive and see all of his Amazon purchase history. And trust me, you don't want to see that. MF bought like 20 boxes of fucking Cheez-Its and a bag of rubber-ass bands. Like, what the fuck? Bugs. The material collected from these computers was mainly useless scrap and old rusted circuitry. However, on occasion, the automated bots, also called bees, would recover gold, zinc, and platinum from the motherboards. These materials would then be used for, let's just say, secret projects of his fucking sex bots. Blowjob mode activate. Yeah. Meanwhile, at the Giggle Hut, the admin's lair, Dylan was said to be feeding his underage thralls fucking doggy food as he and his team were working hard to solve the energy crisis among the interurban sectors. Situations were so dire that he even allowed his fucking dumb fucking dipshit ass henchmen fucking Fat Shit Mark 1 and 2 to spout ideas. One of Fat Shit Mark 2's idea was that of installing municipal dispensaries for pickled cum, a specialty import, as that was the only sustenance these fucking weird ass motherfuckers would consume. Shit. So pretty much, yeah. Days went on as they brainstormed many more hypothetical solutions, such as using the collected Chromebook data to produce some sort of artificial intelligence imprinted from the WWE and Always Sunny in Philadelphia episodes he had downloaded. They even proposed an idea of tripling the Undertaker supporter executions at the ON nicotine patch epitaph of mercy. They even wanted to dump all of the residents of Subsector A, which was the most filth-ridden squalor of a sector ever seen, into a vat of boiling, pickled hot fucking corn logs as a sort of message for not producing enough bratwursts and frozen yogurt toppings in Sector S. Nothing would stick. But alas, his team of physicists were finally able to conceive an idea so profound and insane that they themselves couldn't believe it to be true. But fortunately for the people of Rashtopia, it was true. But the events to come were not foreseen by Rash. The admin's head physicists, Mondo Brando and Gigglebob, were onto something. They found that they were able to tear a rift into an alternate reality, an entirely nascent universe full of energy and infinite potential. The possibilities were too good to be true for Rash and his administration. Mondo Brando conceived this idea when survey teams from deep within the bowels of Sector C, far into the reactor floor beneath the badass fart machines, had reported gravitational anomalies using their proprietary gaydars. Brando and Gigglebob personally investigated. They took note that the compressed and leftover fucking shit mass was becoming so dense that light lensing was noticeable around these mile-tall and mile-wide balls of fat-ass epic shit. Lensing is the optical effect that happens around super condensed objects, like black holes or neutron stars. Fucking dumbass, you should have known that. The balls of shit were so massive that they were literally bending light and affecting space-time itself. Brando and Gigglebob were awestruck and breathless by this accidental discovery and what it could mean. Bringing it to Rash and his peers, and using the gathered survey data, as well as Chromebook nicotine patches, they constructed what was known as the fucking Thought's temporal drive. This machine was massive in scale and massive in what possibilities it held. Months after its creation, after hundreds of test trials and experimenting, the fucking Thought's drive worked. It was powered by compressed balls of shit, cigarello wraps scraped off the laptops, and collected materials from the Chromebook mausoleum. Eventually, indeed, a portal to another universe was peeled open, and the light from the infantile reality nearly blinded one of Rash's henchmen, Dr. Shit. At first, they simply went on short-ended expeditions into this dimension. They could pick and choose by means of adjustments on the fucking Thought's drive where the gate would open to. They eventually landed on opening it up into an alternate Earth, except no one was there. No wildlife, no bacteria, nothing. It was still oxygenated and able to support life, however. Rash insisted on immediately building an ass ton of sweet frogs and condom dispensaries here among this fruitful land. It would be a while until he unveiled this discovery to the populace of Rashtopia. Could this be a chance of redemption for the people and the Rash himself? A clean slate, perhaps? Though some things never do change. A year had passed and the new land was dubbed Realm B. Rash was hell-bent on monopolizing this backdoor dimension. Here it was teeming with sweet frogs, badass fart machines, Jack's bars, and a new addition to his tycoon, Dollar General stores. Here in Realm B, it was basically a bunch of faggot shit. Back in the Rashtopia metropolis, destruction and chaos is breaking loose. A boiling point is being reached. The people are rebelling and fighting back for their own safety and freedom. Fire, ash, and death riddled the streets. The Defiers have taken over the hierarchy among the urban areas, uniting all residents into an army. The citizens of the urban sectors began using the underground administration rail system to move between sectors, transporting what little supplies they had to neighboring precincts. They were putting together an enormous fighting force to maybe even reckon with the Rash's FSS and combined military forces throughout the dystopia. They were fighting fate. While Rash and his team during this era spent most of their time in Realm B, the Dollar General nightmare, They were completely oblivious to the disaster and calamity back home. It seemed they had mistakenly left too much trust to the populace of the city. Months passed again, and the Rash decided it was time to return home to make his announcement that the energy crisis was now to be ended. Upon his arrival, what small amount of administration he left was completely panicked and were immediately begging the Rash to do something to subdue the people. His grip was so tight that his control began slipping between his fingers. The distress of his people slicing and tearing their way to his gate was too much for him to handle. He knew things were getting to their tipping point. He and his team devised a plan. Let the people into Realm B, alleviating the pressure and free up space as well as energy needs. 2 weeks since his return to the city, and appropriately, he held a rally at the Rash Track on its 15th anniversary. As usual, all citizens were mandated to attend. He had the biggest crowd in years, as overpopulation had become a subsequent issue for the city. The stadium was filled to the brim, overflowing with the citizens on all corners of the megastructure. The cries from the people were deafening and deeply powerful. During this grandiose event, Rash saw this as his final rally, the crux of it all, and the end of an era. The importance of this day could not be overstated. Fireworks, music, lights, and many amenities were held during this event. He had many new Dollar Generals, mayo dispensaries, sweet frogs, and bratwurst stands installed here to please the citizens and make as much profit as possible. He even snuck in a few badass fart machines. Among the cries came a deafening silence when over the giant loudspeakers around the Rash Track boomed a voice. The Rash himself was at his podium overlooking the sea of people on all corners and floors of the stadium.
Silence! Hear me, good citizens of Rashtopia. Big fat nuts, lemons, as well as shit. The great administration of our city has fallen upon an answer. An end to the turmoil and pity. A safe haven for the people has been made. A place without desolation. A place without worry or fear. Here, we will all venture to the depths together as one, as an empire. To Rashfinity and beyond!
And if you all wouldn't mind, women are actually mandated to come up to the podium and drop all their poopy panties. Yeah, so bring them up, 1, 2, 3, fucking go!
The divine steel and crystal towers of the city center filled the background around the Rash and his people. It was quite the sight. This was all that he said. He arrogantly walked off the stage. The people's reactions were reportedly mixed, some confused, others joyful and hopeful for the future for the first time in decades. But the deeply tainted lies were sensed by most, and his bluff fell flat. They saw right through his lies and fleeting promises. Through the screams of the masses, an immense metal cocoon closed up around the stadium, enveloping the entire megastructure and the nearly 1 million people inside. Rash's final and swift blow. From all sides came his FSS squadron. His 2 personal bodyguards, Fat Shit and Fat Fucking Shit Mark II, were among the thousands of his militant force. In an instant, they began firing upon and into the sea of people with shit cannons, explosive munitions, and pickled cum jars, killing tens of thousands in an instant. Some were able to hide away within the nooks of the stadium, and few even cowered into the copious sweet frogs scattered throughout the dope-ass stadium. But many were killed off. This was his contingency plan. Bait the population in, trap them, and kill them. Flee off into Realm B Dollar General gay land like fish in a barrel. The citizens were defending themselves with the fat-ass shit-covered fucking fat-ass fucking ass bratwurst and big-ass loads of fucking ass mayonnaise. The Sector A lieutenant, whom the citizens appointed for the rebellion, was even there. King Ass Ripper himself, going fucking X Games mode on some mayonnaise and pickled shit. Rash's defense entourage deployed toxic badass fart gas from the fart factories in hopes of stifling the chaos. They were also trying to keep a nigga from going beast mode for real though. This massacre went on for hours. Eventually, the roof and walls once again opened. It seemed someone from inside Rash's administration had defected. On all sides, the people erupted and poured out of the now open stadium back into the city sprawl. The entire population at this point was dazed and unsure what to do. They struck as it was time to make their move. They fought through FSS agents and the Rash's street patrol force. Days passed. Slowly, the fire was dying out, but they painfully broke their way past the fences and into the city center, hoping to confront the administration themselves. To the people, it seemed like a far cry, but it had to be done. Among the resistance were the citizens and defiers, all fiercely united in one. The Rash held out and defended as long as he could, while they broke down the gates to his fortress and toppled all of his perimeter defenses. Now, they were in his domain, free to lay waste to his ivory tower. Rash, thinking, how could this have happened? How could I have made such a mistake? He and his remaining team of mere thousands decided, reluctantly, that this creation, his vision, was now their demise, and it was never to be salvaged. The only option being that they must try again and hide away inside Realm B. They all rushed to the fucking Thoughts temporal drive superstructure that had been hidden deep within the bowels of the city center. Rash and his people loaded up a fat-ass ball of shit and adjusted the machine accordingly, opening the rift to the alternate plane. They all, quite panicked, marched through the rift. Waiting here was all that they could do. It was futile. The Defiers and citizens marched their way to the fucking Thoughts complex on the ground. They made their way into the space-time rift, and they were now face to face with Rash and his remaining confidants. They fought for hours, but after endless bloodshed, eventually they came to a conclusion. They would allow him to live, only if he were to go back to his now destroyed city that was set ablaze, and for him to let them stay in Realm B fucking Dollar General mode. According to recovered audio logs, his henchman, fat shit, a man of few words, said,
"Hell no, for that shit."
However, Rash grudgingly agreed. He and his two henchmen, Fat Shit Mark 1 and 2, made their way back into the stark, now empty megacity sprawl of Rashtopia. The rift gate was closed, and now the people of Rashtopia became the people of this new fruitful and untainted Dollar General infested land to make a better life for themselves fairly. The Rash, Fat Shit Mark 1 and 2 were now damned to their own awful creation. Ironic. Forced to die as there was no one there to uphold the factories, to produce the energy. Now, a slave to his own oppressive construction. Moral of the story? Well, you can take this from it. Fuck a bitch till you come, fucking WWE Super Slam nigga bob style. Hey yo, I got a fat fucking dick. Aight, real quick though, shout out to Ellie Easy and Shoe Nice, my man Giggle Bob, Tickle Bob, Bag Shit, Chili Boy, Chili Man, Jet City Man, Jeff Tater Tots, Nico T and Albert Cohol, fucking, can't forget Torrance Hasselback Kaufman, Rondo, Vince Vega, Skylar Brooms, Brett Buggy Brondo, fucking Giggy Bear, Gubby Brondo, hey yo, Dirt Davenport, what up? Creeper Clan, Half Mesa, Captain Mondays, ECRL, Dylan Rash, Lop 69, my main man, Willie Rainbow Fan Club, Spiridon, Suspect 9, Gigglebox, and of course, last but not least, Maddie Cream the fucking third. Before the dark ages of the 2030s, the year is 2026, Rash had just secured his place as New Albany's mayor and soon-to-be dictator. After the devastating loss for Gahan, he soon after fell into a deep, dark depression and subsequently contracted HIV from Beyblade sounding. Gahan went on to get an experimental medical procedure done at the brand new Rey Mysterio vs. Undertaker Super SmackDown Raw Medical Research Pavilion. As he was being brought in for the operation, Rash caught wind through his insiders and Ace that Gahan was to be sedated for an operation. Rash saw this as an opportunity. Fruity Ace Pebbles. When Rash arrived at the Badass Medical Center, he confronted Gahan in his operation room. Gahan was half sedated and unable to move or respond, but was still entirely lucid. Rash informed him of the following.
I'm really proud of you, Jeff. Truly. You've done New Albany a fucking service. You mean a lot to me, boy. By the way, I'm a freeze your ugly ass in the cryostasis chambers, fucker. Me and my boys are gonna jump Count Chocula's ass. Giggy style.
Jeff was horrified, but unable to respond or move any muscles. He slowly drifted off into slumberland. Fucking fat ace nutsack. The year is now 2072, 2 years after Rash was exiled to the old city. Deep in the asshole of Rashtopia, within the abandoned Sector X facilities, many power surges had been occurring due to no one upholding the infrastructure of the city. One of these power surges made its way to the Pizza Roll cryo storage chamber in the Swisher Sweet plant, which caused Mr. Gahan to reawaken from slumberland. All the while, his only memories were of the Rash and his henchmen, as well as the love of his life, Count Chocula. He also misses his daddy. His lover, Chocula, was never to be seen again, but is presumed dead. Fucking goober style. Rash's henchman, Fat Shit Mark II, just so happened to be watching the surveillance live feed from the brand new ass Giggle Hut 2.0. In doing so, he noticed that the Pizza Roll cryo storage chamber had come open and something had emerged. it was Gahan, now mutated and maimed by the shit water that had seeped into the chamber during his long-ass stasis. Fat Shit Mark II busted a speed nut, gangbang paraplegic midget fisting cream pie compilation porn music video. Fat Shit Mark II realized he was wasting his time cranking his John and sprinted out of the surveillance room to anxiously inform Rash, who was in his replica Darth Vader meditation chamber from episode 5, called the Tumbleweed Play Place, where he takes fat shits and meditates on the days gone and the days to come. The Rash responds very angrily, "Hulk Smash!" His response after the smashing was to put Gahan in the front lines of his evil and torturous game that he had been brewing up for an ass year. Rash never had the chance to execute this diabolical ass plan on the dumbass people of his now fallen Rashtopia, but he saw this as a chance. Rash and his dumbass entourage barreled their way toward the old Sector X underground pizza roll storage facilities by using the now abandoned administrative transportation system. Arriving here in the maze-like steel corridors of the old-ass Swisher Sweet plants, they eventually cornered Gahan and captured his old crusty bald ass. Before being captured, Gahan, while roaming around the labyrinthian corridors of Sector X's underground, befriended an old Swisher Sweet factory automated bot who had become sentient. His name was Niggabot. Rash apprehended Gahan and his badass robot friend. Rash was horrified, noticing that Gahan had become a big-ass pizza roll MF. Shit. Fucking corn dogs. They made their way back to the Giggle Hut 2.0, which was now relocated to the Jack's Uber Bar. Here in the new headquarters was a crudely set up laboratory and research station, consisting of 500 million terabytes of animal porn. Amateur German Shepherd fucking gangbang fucking on a Shih Tzu doggy cream pie compilation. Porn music video. Fucking arf. The Rash needed more players for his twisted and demented game. A week goes by, Gahan is locked up in his bouncy house prison cell at the Giggle Hut 2.0. Gahan's cellmate, Giggle Bob, was taken out forcefully for Rash's use. Reason being is that Giggle Bob was the only one with the proper badass credentials to access the fucking thought's temporal drive to regain control over Realm B. Rash's plan was to abduct tens of thousands and eventually the entirety of the New World, forcing them to participate in his badass, silly games. In Rash's Giggle Hut 2.0, he has the new and improved party chair stored away in his disgusting, fucked up, Chromebook-filled shit-ass closet. The atmosphere is dank as fuck and smells like fucking nutsack. Jelly. Goddamn Swisher Sweets like fucking everywhere. Ridiculous. Clean that shit up, nigga. With Giggle Bob now incapacitated and vulnerable, Rash may have his way with him, John style, being strapped to the infamous yet intimate party chair. A fucking spring-loaded fade-ass dildo wrapped in barbed wire incoming, Hubert style. John, little Giggle Bob at that fucking tight asshole was getting excited. Almost too excited. He was so motherfucking turned on that he immediately gave Rash the fucking Thought's temporal drive access codes. The Rash was filled with glee, as it only took 15 seconds. Motherfucker has no endurance, sexual mode. After he ass busted, the song Under the Weather by Spiridon began torturously playing. Spiridon was voted worst band of 2023, so you know that shit was awful. Rash now had everything he needed to retake Realm B. Back at the Rash track, he had to get a quick snack break in, $2 chug box mode. Rash had returned to his throne at the Rash track among the sea of people he had retaken from Realm B, just like old ass times. Except now, there is no escape, and he severed the gate to Realm B. With Realm B gone, it was now time for the badass games to commence. The Rash track was reconfigured to the Rashiceum to host his sick, demented, horrific, terrifying, dreadful, hateful, disgusting, terrible, grim, grotesque, gruesome, fucked up, badass, twisted games. The game is afoot. Get ready, this is gonna sting. He's right behind me, isn't he? Now the player was playing them games.
Alrighty, folks, get prepared to wash your ass after this. Don't get shit on your finger. It's the game Rash is hosting at the Rashiceum on this badass day of February 31st. Very cloudy skies, but that's okay. Tomorrow it's supposed to be sunny. Okay, folks, I found a pair of badass, shitty Fruit of the Loom XXL underwear from Walmart. Turns out they were worn by some dipshit dumbass named Jesus Christ. I also found a single piece of pubis from his tomb in Jerusalem. Yes, Israel. Which is now a super badass JCPenney, thanks to yours truly. By the way, they have a sale on badass anal beads and a Cookie Crisp. I also found the New Testament Bible shit. So fucking badass. Shit, fuck that though. I went ahead and ejaculated all these items into the cloning machine in my badass, very roomy Jack's bathroom office. Jesus is basically my son now, which makes me God. Okay, citizens, let's all get naked! Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the results. The player roster of 2072 Giggle Games of Badassery. Here they are. Gigglebob. Gigglebob, edging record, 2 minutes. Jesus 2, a very new competitor, edging record unknown as that motherfucker is a virgin. Master Chief himself joined us in our badass games today. Edging record, 2 years, unless Cortana's stroking that thing. L.A. Beezy, a very, very popular food review YouTuber, influencer if you will. Edging record, 3 seconds. That motherfucker goes crazy on some Whoppers though. Chili Boy, no one really knows a thing about it. Edging record, 25 years. That motherfucker is made of chili. Pizza Roll Crusader. Yes, yes. Our own Jeff Gahan. Bald ass Gahan. Edging record. Shit. We don't have it. I don't know. And Poopla, our final contestant. Motherfucker smoking a fat John. Motherfucker smoking a fat John. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the game rules. Take notes. Take a fat ass shit on the sand of the Rashiceum is rule number 1. Rule number 2, wipe your fucking shitty asshole with half-ply toilet paper. Ugh. Rule number 3, don't get shit on your badass finger. Game on! It's time to get freaky! Crazy mode activate! And finally, folks, for the rewards. First place, a one-on-one luncheon with King Ass Ripper himself. Second place, a 1-hour session with a Tomater fleshlight. Dagon. Third place, don't get shit. Take a walk, motherfucker. I'ma beat your ass! And now the games are over. The time is now to tell you lovely folks the results. Master Chief came in 3rd place because that motherfucker got a full set of badass armor. So his asshole wasn't even accessible. Fuck. What a badass. 2nd place was LABZ. This motherfucker knew what he was doing. Plus, he was going fucking badass crazy beast mode on like 20 Dave singles the whole time. Dipshit. God, so lovely, folks. Such a surprise. And last, but certainly not least, first place was Pizza Roll Crusader, our very own Jeff Gayhead. What a fucking badass. Fruity as pebbles. And now for the Hall of Shame. Jesus did so shit at the game. The Rash actually hung him up by his badass foreskin and forced him to turn shit into piss. Then, the Rash put him in a fucking box to be crucified later tonight. He will not rise again this time. Giggle Bob was killed by a flying mayonnaise jar with the force of 1,000 winds from the crowd. Whoever threw that mayonnaise, you got one hell of an arm. Chili Boy ran away only to be sniped by Fat Shit Mark 1. Thanks, Fat Shit Mark 1. Poop Lock got deactivated for being black?
The games were finally over now. It was a grueling, stanky as fuck 24 hours of badass shitting and avoiding poo-poo on finger. Most players did struggle with this badass shit. It has been 2 years since the retaking of Realm B and the badass Giggle games. The Rash has just hardly regained power, but more so than before. This time his grip has grown substantially more powerful as to never make the same mistakes again. New strict laws have been put in place. He banned retards, and driving backwards in the shoulder is mandatory. The new Rashtopia city motto is bust every day, fuck diversity, eat shit. Vagina muscles. The church of WWE has been remodeled and made more beautiful than ever. Every inhabitant of the lower urban sectors attend this grand cathedral. It's situated in the city center's double-decker McDonald's. It's big as shit, dope as fuck, and fucking badass. The sacred walls of the sanctuary stretch over 3 miles in each direction. The smell of badass burgers fill the air. No pickles, please. The leader of this church is the crazed, fucked up, batshit crazy, insane-ass, badass Archbishop of shit. He was inducted to be the head of this church in 2072, soon after the Giggle Games. Rash noticed his potential for leadership and power, as he was previously the dishwasher at the Super Tumbleweed Play Place. At the time of his employment at the badass Tex-Mex restaurant, he went by the alias Chump Change Nigga Bars. When Archbishop took power at the Church of WWE, he was gifted a prototype badass Rash hoverboard, which he uses at all of his sermons, as well as transportation for when he chases off Undertaker supporters from the badass sacred grounds. When Archbishop deems any churchgoers ready for rebirth, as he calls it, he submerges them into a big-ass vat of hot dog water, badass nugs, and shit. Only then are they ready to walk the path to John Cena.
Warning, what you were about to hear is going to be fucked up, twisted, badass, fucked up, and twisted as shit. Get ready.
2 years may not seem like a lot of time for progress, but for the Rash, it was more than plenty. He and his legion completely repaired and renovated the city center in the respective districts. He cleverly decided that the city center was not the safest area for his HQ, as he was too exposed and vulnerable. Not to mention his dumbass got overthrown once before, and he was going to make sure that was never to be again. He relocated to the Floating Jack's Uber bar in the ghetto outskirts of the Sector J entertainment hub. Many new additions were added to this badass new center of operations. The compound was at the top floor of this dope-ass floating building, overlooking the disgusting ghetto-ass, nasty shit-pissing, badass bullshit, garbage-ass, shit-scented, ghetto-ass, shit-ass boondocks. One could say you can taste the stank. But, as always, Rash kept his friends close and his badass enemies closer. His henchmen, Fat Shit Mark I and Mark II, were sensing the desperation in Rash and beginning to doubt his abilities as a leader. All the while, his remaining team of scientists were conducting experiments with a multitude of badass purposes. Yeah, they were cooking up badass shit. Rash still had his twisted, fucked up, nasty as fuck sexual desires. So much so, this little dirty ass motherfucker couldn't keep his hands to himself. Rash would go on expeditions in the housing sectors looking for fresh meat, aka underage children. He used his badass net to capture these little fuckers. They would soon after be returned to his dope ass Giggle Hut 2.0 at Jack's Bar. He had multiple forms of torture and discipline in his headquarters. The badass sauna was only the ground floor for how twisted, demented, and fucked up his means of torture would be. The sauna was a room that was heated to an insane-ass temperature, up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. This was surely hot enough to make anyone drop to their badass knees and buck cheeks, begging for mercy. Shit. And to make things worse, before locking anyone in the sauna, Rash would say, "Don't be afraid, Daddy's little ass kitten. This is only gonna hurt a lot." There was even one reported instance where he trapped his enslaved thrall, whom he named Jamie Lee Curtis, in the badass sauna way too fucking long, till that shit started to stank. So long, in fact, that she got fucking pussy pox. Goddamn. He had forgotten to let her out because he was too busy talking to his badass Dada the Third. Dylan kept his Dada around for means of guidance and comfort in these fucked up, twisted, demented ass times. He, decades ago, just before his father's badass passing, flash fossilized his old ass in a piece of parking lot from the WWE stadium. He had hung him up above his desk in his dope-ass relaxation station bathroom. Beforehand, he had his father equipped with badass brainwave reading technologies so that he could effectively communicate with his still lucid but frozen ass Dada. Rash would often get into altercations with his badass Dada the Third, so he would only speak to Dada when times were desperate and tough as shit. Dylan had other forms of support. The badass Archbishop was one of Rash's only true friends. He was often there as moral support and to back Rash up when his Dada was being a fucking prick. Dylan began getting worried that his power was slipping. Even his closest henchmen, Fat Shit Mark I and Mark II, weren't attending the meetings at the double-decker McDonald's Cathedral. Was it possible that they were working for the Resistance? He grew more worrisome as the weeks passed. "Two asshole fat bitches sitting on your balls." Rash's intuition was correct, as the Resistance had been forming once again, right under his fucking nostrils and foreskin. The work atmosphere in the Giggle Hut during this area was, needless to say, rather tense and stressful. The employees here, including Fat Shit Mark I and Mark II, were often noted complaining to Rash about the bothersome environment. They would report that the HQ was in absolute disarray and completely chaotic. The Rash and his badass Dada were always toe-to-toe in argument. The issues would span from simple things such as Dada insisting on telling him to clean his dirty-ass fucking nicotine head-ass room, and even to greater predicaments such as him not flushing his badass turds down the John toilet throne / lavatory / latrine / shitter fun bowl loo commode / potty / crapper / can / porcelain outhouse wash troughs cereal. Some mean shit was indeed cooking up in the housing sectors. Once again, the civilians were banding together to take down the Rash, only this time they were going to be even more badass and fierce and not take no for an answer. This was their absolute final stand and the final blow to Rash's Legion. The Rash wasn't going to come back from this. The Rashistants, as they were called, learned from their previous mistakes. Things were much more organized and abundant than the previous Defier Revolution. Though in the previous rebellion, they had an ad hoc lieutenant, King Ass Ripper, but this time they had layers of leadership, like nachos in an exponential expanse. Pretty much. Yeah, so, no. All the sectors were joined together and united. This shit was getting real badass. The Rashistants had taken complete control of the administrative underground rail systems in the badass bratwurst factories. Using these were to be their one and final hope that gave them the high ground, just like Obi-Wan. They would transport munitions, explosives, supplies, asshole fat bitches, and food. Them motherfuckers were working overtime for the revolution, just so they could have the fighting chance and means to fuck Rash up. Baloney. The Rashistants was willing and ready to commence their strike on Rash, but not without word from each leader. The leaders consisted of the Pizza Roll Crusader Jeff Gahan, King Ace Ripper, who was for years prior a hostage to the Rash, and unbeknownst to Rash, his nearest servants, Fat Shit, Mark 1 and Mark 2. A consensus was met among all the sector's leaders and people that waiting patiently was their best course of action, as they had a badass motherfucker cooking up. They had a chip on their shoulder. Specifically, Lay's barbecue low-fat potato chips bought with my mama Kroger card. The WWE Medical Research Pavilion, located in Sector M, was home to many sick, twisted, demented, and fucked up experiments. Rash's now defected scientists Mondo Brando and Dr. Shit, who you may recall created the fucking Fox temporal drive. And after Rash was exiled, they left his administration and were now head leaders of the most important and dangerous project here in the pavilion. The project was possibly the most important for all of Rashtopia. 45 years ago, when Rash's badass mayorship began, he appointed Dr. Shit and Brando to capture the WWE wrestler Rey Mysterio and subdue him to the experimental badass bonar radiation tests. This highly powerful and cell-mutating form of radiation initially proved useful for the badass government's unjust cause. The badass bonar radiation experiments were initially a safeguard, a failsafe, in case Rash's street patrol or secondary military were to be overthrown or outnumbered by means of opposing forces. The enhanced Mysterio was to be used as an agent of destruction and protection for the administration. The tests were subsequently used to gift him with eternal life, as he was Rash's favorite WWE wrestler. The experiments left Mysterio completely mutated, fucking massive, and a total brute. His short stature was expanded to a whopping 15 feet tall and 7 feet wide. Motherfucker weighed like 11 tons, fucking fat bitch. His badass strength was comparable to that of a hydraulic press in the badass bratwurst boiled shit factories. The abhorrent subject of failed tests was kept in a stasis in a vat of badass hot dog water and vitamin water. He was consistently beamed with enormous levels of badass bonar radiation for 45 years. Damn. He was given the name Dickie, and they now saw him as the last standing martyr for Rashkind. The Rashistants had been preparing and training for months to make their final badass strike on the Rash. Dope-ass swag. Before the hammer fell, Rash locked himself in the Giggle Hut 2.0 with his people, stressing the fuck out, as he was about to get his ass fucked up and he was out of Kush and Swisher Sweets. The sounds of the Rashistants could be heard getting closer. Everything that the Rash had built, albeit shitty, was being completely set ablaze. Ash and smoke darkened the skies even more so. This was the end of Rashtopia. I love the word ablaze. Motherfucker was scared as fuck. His last resort to cope with his inevitable demise was to pray to Big Dada. He had to give Dada an offering of a fat fucking load in a Dixie cup and dump it on Dada's fat ass badass crock. Rash began his communication with Dada. Salad.
My father, who art in heaven, and a fat-ass piece of rock. Why have you forsaken me? Please show me your guidance by helping me get all these whack-ass motherfuckers off my back. Please, Dad! I'm so about to go gangsta mode. I'm angry, Dada. So damn hard, too. I need strength from me, Father. I must prevail. By the way, can I please have bucks for Mickey D's?
First of all, you still ain't cleaned that fucking shitty steak trash ass room. Second of all, how the fuck am I supposed to give you strength if you ain't got the strength to keep that busted shit ass room clean, motherfucker? Third of all, if you really want my blessing of strength, you must unfreeze my ass from this claustrophobic ass tomb, my boy. Only then will you have the power to retake what you created. And Dylan, my son, you already know I keep that thing on me. And I don't want to have to cap your ass.
The Rash, of course, listened to his Dada and heeded his demand. Rash desperately released him from his cold, horrible imprisonment. Smoke and mist filled the Giggle Hut 2.0 as he was slowly unbinding from the stone. Dada was old as fuck and butt-ass naked. The Rash became incredibly emotional at the sight of him. It seemed he may have, for the first time in decades, felt some form of remorse for subjecting his father to this fate. He reportedly cried for the first time since the dope-ass Pizza Hut grand opening on the ground floor of the Uber bar. He had not seen his father's face or bare ass in a very long time, as Rash sadistically froze him backwards, butt-ass naked in the badass stone. Dada was completely drained of life and energy, but from the goodwill of his heart, granted his son one final surge of power, as well as a final goodbye. Dada said this. Dada fucking darted off, never to be seen again by Rash. He was reportedly found dead and face down deep in Subsector F's Chromebook mausoleum. It is completely unknown why he was there. Probably wanted to return all those fucking ass Chromebooks and get heat bucks back. Shit. Rash was fueled with rage and fucking Hot Pocket sleeves. The immense power of his father's uplifting, badass words of wisdom had now come to him and sparked a flame. He was now a monstrous and wicked beast, turned fucking badass by the bonar radiation. Turned out, all the while, Rash was secretly experimenting and exposing himself to the bonar radiation that the science team at the WWE Medical Pavilion had discovered and used for creating Dickie. Except Rash wasn't a complete dipshit and used controlled amounts, allowing him to control the immense power within. The mob of the Rashistants was now surrounding the Giggle Hut 2.0. He heard the fucking loud-ass yells and shit right outside his abode. They were not fucking around. Dickie was one among the Rashistants. It's playtime, nigga. Game on. Let's get it on. The people, after a grueling 10 minutes of crazy-ass fighting, dope-ass kush bombs that chilled Rash the fuck out. He soon after greened out fucking lightweight. The mob, King Ass Ripper, Fat Shit Mark 1 and Mark 2, and even Gayhan among others beat the living fuck out of him. The Rash fucking died. The end, nigga. Fuck you.